All right, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about comedians that are the worst at handling criticism or mean comments or anything negative said about them. You know, comedians that can dish it but can't take it. Like, these people love to talk about how oversensitive society is nowadays and how people get offended too easily, but that doesn't mean we should censor ourselves, and censorship is always a bad idea. You know, these are supposed to be the people defending free speech. Like Joe Rogan says, this is our last line of defense here.
You know, in the comedy world, we say we're the last line of defense because this is where the woke meets the wall. The woke meets the wall with stand-up comedy.
And even though I think Joe is being a little dramatic there, at least he stands by what he says. You know, for the most part, he doesn't seem to care what people are saying about him. Like, he doesn't try to silence criticism or delete comments or try to have videos get taken down that are about him that he doesn't like. You know, if you hear him talk about that kind of stuff, like people leaving mean comments or people talking shit on the internet, he says it doesn't bother him, which I actually believe because he also says he just doesn't pay attention to it. You know, he just accepts that the internet is always going to do its thing, and if you don't like it, then just try to avoid it. I mean, it's not that hard to avoid watching videos about yourself or reading comments or reading Reddit posts. I mean, you kind of have to go out of your way to do that kind of stuff. You know, if Joe Rogan, one of the most famous people alive, can do a good job of avoiding it, I think anybody could. But Joe admits he has some friends that just cannot help themselves and have to go on Reddit and see what people are saying about them.
I'm not on Reddit at all.
Reddit's
Thank
chaos.
God.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah.
I know guys who go on Reddit and they read about themselves and they go down a dark road.
They get their feelings hurt bad.
Oh, there's a bunch of intelligent vipers on Reddit.
Facebook runs the top 5, 3 of the top 5.
And if you notice on Joe's podcast, whenever somebody brings up reading a comment about themselves or reading an article about themselves or maybe watching a video, he always tells them to stop paying attention to that stuff and stop reading comments.
When RZA was on with Donnell, that's the first thing I said to Donnell after the show. I go, hey, man, that was fun. Don't read the comments.
Yeah.
Don't read the comments.
No, don't.
And Donnell just dove right into that comments, and he was on a deep spiral of mental illness for several days.
Yeah, he said, man, I kept saying I interrupt, son. Yeah, yeah, I heard all about it. We was on tour after that. He was traumatized.
He got shook. I told him, stay out of there.
Yeah, so Joe has to tell his friends to do this quite often, but some of them just don't want to listen. And it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it seems like the people that pay attention to that stuff the most are the ones that are the worst at handling it, unfortunately. And usually the way they react to it shows they're not very good at handling it because they'll have the worst response. You know, you could see a video about yourself and just ignore it like Joe Rogan says, or you could watch it and just be like, all right, whatever, this is what the internet does. Or you can watch it and respond to it, or you can pick the worst option here and try to have it removed because that usually draws the most attention and shows people that you're not very good at handling it. And you would think comedians would know this, but some of them, I guess, just don't get it. Like Andrew Santino, for example, he sees a video he doesn't like and has a meltdown and then tells his fans to go report it. This happened when him and Bobby first started Bad Friends, and their original setup, you know, their studio here, did not look too good. I mean, they just look uncomfortable sitting there. It looks like they're working at an office job or something, and they just have random decorations up. I mean, Bobby's Red Bull and cigarettes are the only thing in that room that give it some kind of personality or like theme or something. You know, it's clearly just random shit they put up. So some people in the comments were making fun of it, and Joe Rogan, he even goofed on it a little bit, which we'll get to. But also Red Bar ended up posting a video about how low effort the podcast is and how ugly the set is and everything. And it really wasn't that big of a deal. You know, Red Bar's video had maybe 10, 20,000 views, and most people I feel like would have been able to just brush it off and been like, all right, he's just being a hater or whatever. But it clearly touched a nerve with Santino, probably because there's some truth to it. So when somebody posted it to Twitter, and I think they tagged Santino in it, he responded and said, "We know, report it, F that clown," which is just a hilarious response because what does he want people to report this for? You know, you can't just report somebody for making fun of you on the internet. And I feel like a comedian should be the first one to understand this. Like, was he going to report this for hate speech or something? And then him addressing this, now everybody's like, wait, he actually cares what Red Bar thinks? Like, he actually cares about this video with 15,000 views? And it's not like everybody was even just agreeing with him in this video. You know, some of the top comments were saying that Red Bar is just being a hater. And I think the video had more dislikes than likes. So he should have easily been able to ignore this and been like, all right, the guy's just being a hater. Who cares? You know, I'll let him have his fun. But instead, this clearly got to Santino, which would have been fine if he didn't make everybody aware that it got to him, because then everybody's like, damn, this guy takes himself way too seriously. He really can't handle being goofed on a little bit. And just in case that tweet wasn't enough evidence of this, Bobby Lee and Brian Redban both confirmed that Andrew lost his mind over this.
But all he does is just trash all our friends. Like every comic we know.
Me, Santino.
Oh, Santino.
Hinchcliffe.
I think Santino's about to go there and just murder him. You know?
He was psychologically attacked by some online trolls that attacked bad friends.
Yes.
Listen to this.
Oh, okay.
And that's enough.
Put him in a mood.
Right.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Well, first, Andrew Santino put me in a mood. He's screaming and all that stuff.
Yeah, so since he handled this so poorly, it made it even better when Joe Rogan started making fun of his studio right to his face.
If you go to this week's episode, go to episode 3. And
what's with the shelf? Who's the designer?
This is half of the stuff we get. We talk shit about it from our fans.
Well, who put that together?
The producer.
You have a producer that decorates?
No, we just told him to throw stuff on the wall.
Don't worry about it, Joe,
Just
don't
put up
worry.
some shit on the
Why
wall.
don't you put some stuff on the wall that represents what you like?
We're gonna. It's brand new. We just started the whole thing. We haven't done it yet. Also, you know,
You need an American flag behind you. That should be what we all do now.
go to episode 3. Go to episode 3.
So even Joe agrees, and you could tell Santino's like, oh, why'd you have to bring this up? Can we please just move on? And now since everybody knows Santino is sensitive about this, it makes it even funnier. And now more people start to pay attention to the set. Like a few episodes in, they kept changing it every episode. And one of the top comments for the 7th episode, somebody said, the decor somehow gets worse every week. Impressive. And now their setup is just completely different. So I don't think they really cared for the original setup either. And people wouldn't have thought about it too much, and it wouldn't have been that big of a deal if Santino had just ignored that Red Bar video, but instead he responded to it with like the worst response possible. So also recently on my channel, I had a video where I talked about a recent episode of Bad Friends with David Spade and Bobby Lee. He showed up late to it, so David and Andrew started roasting him for it. And my video's up for a couple days, but then Bad Friends, they gave me a copyright strike and had the video removed. And at first I thought it was probably Bobby Lee who made the decision, because in the video I was mostly just making fun of him for being a man-child and for not having his shit together. But then I thought about it, and I've talked about Bobby quite a bit on this channel, and he doesn't seem to care. You know, he's never given me a strike. He's never taken down a video. It seems like he just ignores it. And then I also started thinking about Andrew Santino's history with this kind of stuff, like we just went over. I mean, he has a tough time ignoring it, and he tells people to report videos. He gets really worked up about it. He also threatened to sue Bobby's brother one time because his brother wanted to start a podcast called Good Friends, and Santino was just not having it. So he clearly takes himself very seriously. And even though I didn't say anything bad about him, I did mention how David Spade was making fun of their podcast setup, which Andrew's clearly sensitive about. And he's obviously just not very good at handling anything negative said about his podcast. So I'd imagine he's probably the one that had the video taken down and gave me a copyright strike. And I know a lot of his fans will say, you really think he cares about your stupid video? You think he knows about your channel? Even though I already showed that he knew a Red Bar video that had like 15,000 views. And also, that defense, that doesn't help at all, you know, because if people think he's above it and he doesn't care about that stuff, and he really does, that's even more embarrassing for him, because his own fans are basically saying he should be able to ignore it, and it's not that serious. I mean, there are plenty of other comedians that are able to just ignore it, that I've talked about way more than him, you know, like Andrew Schultz, Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer. I actually give them credit because they haven't done anything like this, because they obviously don't care as much and they're able to just ignore it. And if they do stumble upon my channel, they probably just think like, oh, this is dumb, but whatever, I'll let the guy embarrass himself. Like, if you think my videos are stupid and it's cringy to care so much about drama and gossip and I'm just wasting my time, then why not just let me make a fool out of myself? Or why not make fun of me? You know, why not just respond to my video? Like, when I first posted the video that got taken down, I got some comments where people are like, dude, you're being so dramatic. Like, it's not that serious. It's just two friends goofing around. Go outside and touch some grass. And people said they wish Andrew and Bobby would react to it and make fun of me. And that would have been the move to make. That's fair game, but you can't act like you're above it and be like, oh, it's just some stupid video, but then have it taken down, because that just makes things so much worse. First of all, it's very hypocritical. And then also now it seems like somebody got too offended by it and had to have it removed. Because an appropriate reaction from a comedian should be to just goof on it, like not take it that seriously and just make fun of it. Like, for example, that channel Comedy Enforcement, they had a video about how comedians are turning on Bert Kreischer, and he talked about how Louis J. Gomez made fun of him or something. And then Louis J. Gomez, when he's on the bonfire, they brought it up, or Big J. Okerson brought it up, and they all just started making fun of the channel. And that's how comedians who don't take it too seriously should react to it.
Louis J. Gomez, or it's this comics are turning on Bert Kreischer, and then they play a thing, and I was like, no, what would Louis have said? And then they play a thing, and the guy's like, maybe he's just, being lighthearted about it, but maybe it's a thing. It's you telling that Bert doesn't remember the actual story of meeting you and staying around. And this guy's really going like, seems like a real shot at Bert. I'm like, what?
Trouble in paradise.
I'm like, he goes, look, I know maybe Louis feels comfortable to say this now because he's not on the Fully Loaded tour anymore. Like, what did he say? I'm like, he said just Bert has the time. That's plenty of people have that.
No, Bert's a drunk liar. Say it right. I'll say it on the airwaves right now. That whoever made that podcast is definitely listening to this right now, and he's like, I got my next episode. Here we go. More comes out.
And Comedy Enforcement did talk about that in a video, so I'd say that was a good response from them. They obviously don't care too much, and they're just goofing on it. They're not taking it that seriously. But with Andrew Santino, telling people to report videos, flipping out behind the scenes, and possibly copyright striking my video, it just shows he is way too sensitive and really bad at handling this stuff. Because if you're somebody like Joe Rogan who actually doesn't care about it and is above it, if you see Red Bar's video or my video, you just be like, all right, whatever, who cares? Just somebody talking shit on the internet. And I think Joe understands the worst move to make is to try to do something about it and tell people to report it or try to have it removed. Like Brendan Schaub says he asked Joe what he should do about the Fighter and the Kid subreddit and stuff like that. And Joe always tells him, like, dude, it's the internet. You're never winning against them. You might as well just ignore it. But Brendan, he has trouble with that, and he tries to have videos taken down sometimes. He tried to have a whole channel removed, and he sued somebody, which just drew more attention to it, and it all just blew up in his face, which is usually what happens. But I'm not going to go too much into Schaub in this video because I've already covered most of this. It's just kind of redundant at this point, and most people understand he's not the best at handling criticism. So now I'm going to move on to the next person here, Matt Rife. And I will say, I don't think he's ever taking down videos or copyright striking people. So at least he doesn't do that. His approach is to respond to comments, which isn't a terrible idea. If that's what he wants to do, he can go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. But it does sound like he obsesses over them a little too much, and he'd probably be happier if he just ignored them. But if he wants to read them, whatever. It's not like he's copyright striking people and try to censor stuff. I don't have a problem with what he's doing, but I'd say if he wants to be happier, he should probably just stop reading them, because he talks about it on almost every podcast he does. He brings up how he can't stand people that say he's not funny, which is pretty crazy because you'd think somebody who's worth, I don't know, $10 million and has all these girls into him, has a really successful career, you would think he would be able to ignore that stuff, like he has better things to do, but he spends a lot of time responding to comments and going back at people. But, it's his time. He can do whatever he wants.
I'll never entertain it. I don't pay any mind to it. I don't respond to it.
Oh, you're better than I am, dude.
Really?
I'll copy and paste tour dates in a comment section and be like, "Pull up, pussy." Like I'm waiting to fight somebody at a venue. I can't fucking wait.
Okay.
Cannot fucking wait, dude.
You gotta let that go, dude.
I know that's me being 27 and egotistical, but it's just like I can't stay. I threatened to fuck somebody's grandma one time. It was summer of 2021, and he just started going in on typical shit. Not funny, all this kind of shit. And I had time.
Yeah,
which is a huge misconception, by the way. When people's instinctual rebuttal on the internet is go, "Oh, you have all this time to respond to people." Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I woke up at 4 p.m. Didn't have to work till 8.
Yeah.
I have so much time.
I have time,
right?
Yeah.
So we start to go back and forth. Ammo.
Yeah.
And he had posted a picture with his grandma, and I was in Chicago, and he also happened to be in Chicago. So I DM'd his grandma like the nastiest, freakiest shit I could think of, like trying to smash. Like I was like, and he was fucking livid.
Yeah,
dude. He was like, I'm gonna fucking find you. I'm gonna fly to one of your shows. And I was like, cool, I'll buy you 2 tickets, one for you and your grandma. I'll just come through, dude.
Yeah, and Tom is obviously just like, dude, you gotta get over this. And Joe Rogan, he said the same thing to him. And Tom Segura, he would know about this. Like, I think he probably realized responding to comments only makes things worse. I mean, that's where he started to go wrong with things. When he went on his rant on his podcast about his loser fans that was responding to comments, and then also his rant on Twitter about the bag check lady at the airport. You know, if he just stopped there, if he didn't respond to comments, it wouldn't have been as bad. But then he started responding to people and just kept making it worse and worse. So I think he probably learned his lesson. And also, like I said, he never takes down videos. He doesn't copyright strike anybody, at least that I know of. So I think he knows better and he can take the criticism now. But another comedian that has had trouble ignoring this is Sam Tripoli with Red Bar once again. I don't know what exactly Red Bar said about him. I think Sam claims that he said something about his kids, which I don't know. You know, if that is true, if he's talking about his kids, I think that's too far. I don't think you should go after anybody's kids or anybody's like family that's not a public person. But, you know, I don't know for sure. Like also Brendan Schaub uses this excuse a lot. You know, he'll be like, you can go after me, but once you start talking about my kids, that's another story, which I would understand. But I haven't seen anybody talk about his kids. Like the Fight in the Kids subreddit, they don't post about that. I've never talked about them. I would never do that. I haven't seen any channels talk about that, so I don't know for sure. But whatever Red Bar did to Sam Tripoli, he set this guy off. Like, I believe he hired a private investigator. He was trying to track him down. I think Red Bar had to go into hiding. It was crazy.
Is Red Bar gone before me? I don't know, dude. I would love to meet up with him. Just talk to him face to face. I'm going to one day. I don't care what he does. If he comes back, I don't fucking care. Got to come up for air sometime, motherfucker. I'm telling you, dude, he went too far. It's not cool. What he did, I'm going to fuck him up for it. I'm going to fuck up his wife, too. She fucking did it, too. So it is what it is. I don't give a fuck. You don't do that, dude. Okay? I do pinata me all a lot. And every time he puts out a video, that's another minute of beating that guy gets. I'm telling you, bro, you got to come up for air.
Yeah, so I don't know what Red Bar said about him. You know, if he wants to show that Red Bar's out of line, like maybe play a clip of him talking about his kids or something. I don't know, but like if you're just making videos making fun of somebody on the internet, that shouldn't be your reaction. Like you shouldn't take it that serious to where you're hunting the guy down. Like also Joey Diaz, he had an even worse reaction and he was acting like he was part of the mob, like started threatening him and everything. It got pretty crazy. And it's funny because it always starts with like, yeah, I saw his goofy videos, you know, it's just stupid. We laugh about him all the time.
Every 2 weeks I get a fucking call from a friend of mine or Theo, and we just goof on this guy. We just laugh. It's not even because if you have any street knowledge, if you know the way life works at all, he's gonna get his eventually.
Yeah, so at first it seems like a normal reaction, you know, he just finds it amusing, him and Theo laugh about it, and it seems like he's not taking it that seriously, and he says he knows eventually Red Bar is going to get his, you know, like people are going to make fun of him, or, you know, people are going to make fun of my channel eventually, like it's just how the internet works. Why not just naturally let it happen? But instead, he just starts threatening him like crazy and gets so serious about it. And he acts like he's in the mob or something. It's wild. Like, I've never seen anything like this. And you know Rogan had to give him a call right after this and be like, dude, you can't just be threatening people because they make fun of you on the internet. And it's funny, at one point, he's like, yeah, you can call the police on us, but then we're going to show them the videos that you made about us, and it's not going to look good. But it's like, what videos? Like just some stupid YouTube videos? You think the police are going to care about that?
Well, see, anybody who serves a dish correctly is going to give you time to breathe. They're going to let you settle down in Tucson, and go back to Chicago and think the coast is clear. And when you least expect it one night, you're going to run out of that fucking whiskey you drink and you're going to go to the liquor store. And there's going to be a guy there with a bat. And he's going to hit you across the fucking head, maybe hit you across the legs, maybe hit you across the back. You're going to wake up with blood all over you and go to a fucking hospital. And you know how bad you're going to feel in that hospital? After somebody hit you in the fucking head with a bat and you got stitches. And God forbid if your wife is with him, because your wife had a good time on there too, laughing. Remember how they made Rogan be guilty for laughing at my joke? Your wife is guilty of laughter. So if she's with you, I'm sure they're going to bust her in the fucking mouth too. So is this what you really want out of your life? Is this what was this podcast talking shit about people really worth you hiding?
And he's always like, is it worth it? Is some stupid podcast worth it? Yeah, is it worth chasing the guy down and threatening him and going to jail over it? I mean, that's the real question. Like, why do you care so much? You know, I could obviously understand why they don't like Red Bar and why they hate him and everything, but to go out of your way to find him and threaten him and try to chase him down, that is wild. You know, like the people I talk about, I understand they don't like me, they don't like my channel, even though some of them do. You know, like Steve-O and Ethan Klein, he says he watches my channel, and I've shit on him a lot, but he just doesn't watch the videos about himself. Like, most people understand this is just what the internet is like. If you can't handle somebody criticizing you or talking negatively about you, then it's probably not the place to be. And again, I don't know why Joey's so worked up about this. I think he also said Red Bar was talking about his kids, which I don't know. You know, maybe he did cross the line somewhere. I know Joey did get upset when Red Bar pointed out that Joey is addicted to Xanax, and Joey actually responded to it, and he tried to prove him wrong, but then he just proved that he's taking Xanax. Like, that whole saga was pretty funny. I'm sure even comedians were laughing at that, and Joey should be able to laugh at that. But if this is what he's getting worked up over, like if this is his response, then this dude is out of control. I mean, it's not that serious. And if this is how you respond to it, maybe you should just stay off the internet.
Saying shit to people. Chris D'Elia, you went off on people. What do you think the result is going to be? I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to do it a la Frankie Five Angels. You ready for this? This is your option, stupid. Your option is to get some of that money from your father and pay off some of these comics. Give them 20 grand a piece, whatever. Face them, because now they're all going to start hunting you down. And eventually they're going to find you outside and they're going to bust your fucking head. So if I was you, why don't you face these fucking guys? Be a fucking man. Apologize like a man. Take the punch to the head. It's not going to hurt. You'll go down. They'll rush you to the hospital. Maybe they'll cut your fucking thumb off. I don't need to hunt you down. But if I ever bump into you, I will run you over with a fucking car. You know I'm crazy. You guys know that at this age group, I belonged in jail, right? Like right now at this age, 59, I thought I was going to be in jail. Right now I'm living a life of fucking Riley. You know, I don't want to blow that for anybody, but for you, I would run you over with the car. I'm not going to pay nobody to get you. There's no Malanucci brothers, but I will see you someday, or someday, these people will see you. Whether it's D'Elia, whether it's Tripoli, and Tripoli means business. Tripoli means business, dog. You're gonna have to get out of this one. He's got all these guys have the backing. You know, anybody from 10th Planet sees you, they're gonna break your fucking arm. You think about that, and you don't know what their name is. You don't know who. Some Mexican attacked me and broke my arm. You know, that's what's gonna happen to you. Or if you don't want to get hit, if I was you, I'd take the punch to the head. You're gonna take a punch, 5 stitches. Maybe a broken rib.
Yeah, so it's wild. He would say all that on a podcast. I mean, it's not that serious. Like, these are comedians. This is supposed to be our last line of defense. These are free speech warriors. Like, they'll talk about people should be able to say whatever they want and how bad cancel culture is, and jokes can never really cross the line, and people should just stop being so sensitive. You know, these people make a career off of saying the most offensive stuff possible. You know, Sam Tripoli, he's going to say whatever he wants. Joey Diaz, he's going to do whatever he wants. I mean, if you remember on Joe Rogan's podcast a while ago, he told that story about how he used to make girls blow him to get stage time at one of the comedy places. And Joe Rogan loved it. He thought it was the funniest thing ever. He didn't care. And then also these people are good friends with Ari Shaffir, who drugged Bert Kreischer. He also made fun of Bert Kreischer's daughter, I believe. He also laughed when Kobe Bryant, his daughter, died. He made fun of that. And none of these comedians really cared that much. You know, they're still friends with him. They'll still have him on their podcast. And it just seems like when it comes to their friend group, nothing is off limits. You know, nothing is too far. They can say or do whatever they want. And if you're offended by it, then you're too sensitive and you can just ignore it. But then when it comes to them, it seems like that's all out the window. You know, then they'll try to silence you. They'll try to take down videos. They'll try to report videos. And I guess they even get to the point where they start threatening people. So that's about it for this video. If you guys want to hear more content like this, make sure you go check out my Patreon account. There's a ton of stuff up there, probably over 60 videos. There's a lot to go through. So make sure you check that out. I'll put a link in the description, and then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you at the next video.